Hello, everyone. I just want to point out why I don't garner to Facebook and their social media platform with all my entertaining information and my creativity. Well, this is a quick one. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible. One people with two words in my mouth, so it doesn't matter whatever you say. People are going to read it from their context. Two, popularity. If you're not perfect, but you're turning yourself popular in a large crowd of people, they're gonna start the grief off of you. So I noticed this when people were griefing, like say there was guys dating girls in the area, but my options are limited versus theirs. I'd notice griefer culture. So the guys that were the most outstandish, even if they had the same struggles as me, or more or less, were like when I was going near public areas like New York, would have a long list of girls. And even when I was out of high school into working environment, or I should even say work environment, but I noticed that like being in a working environment, being careful what you call a relationship these days. So I noticed they'd grief. They'd be like, "You like this girl? Well, this girl's gonna tell you to date this girl." And then if you don't say anything positive, because obviously breaking up is breaking up, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you think I'm not attractive or something," and you're gonna say something about the size of their body. And it's like that's not supposed to be involved in work. So I've been very single because of that, and being very distant from social media because the other one would go to the gym with me or something, do social activities. I didn't want to be reading a book all the time or something, doing something for their certification because I know people are trying to play mind games with you to get you to do what they tell you to do. Is I never trusted that kind of behavior. So griefing and garnering to someone and the social media platforms or social media platforms, I noticed it being demonetized from it if I identify someone or whatever LGBTQ blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'd hang out with people, but then they immediately grief off of me and be like, "You won't date me, I'm so sick of this." I mean, I couldn't afford a paycheck at the time, and then when I was in a friend zone between going from friend zone to grieving culture, friend zones would easily be like, "I'm your friend," and then they distance themselves from you. So that's why I distanced myself from social media, or even including grieving culture. Not being perfect, griefers, words in the mouth. So no matter what you say, words in the mouth, like you typing something down and they'll read it out in their own context or something, and then they'll try to start it their own sophisticated conclusion. This person's trouble. Spamming things. Obviously, this is on my side. It had to be on my side. Spamming things to other people, like friends or family. I'm not supposed to. This like Facebook sees you as being financially wealthy, and by having a popularity with your family or friends, but I just have a large family, so I think I don't bother them or spam things at them to get attention. And if I see my family members doing that, I just start ignoring them. I don't tell them how to handle their life or their social platform. But I know if I did that to them, it'd be a very different conclusion to the response. That'd be their grief. So like say they're showing off people that are already popular instead of showing off themselves. I'm showing off myself, so they're gonna have something to say about it. Like I used to say, "Hey, stinky farts in the house. I think I'm gonna go outside and go to the gym today," and they'd be like, "Oh, how dare you!" But like I said, you had to be perfect around these kind of groups of people, so they'd break up with you. Your friend zone was always between the breaking up line. So people would break up with you because you're not perfect, or people would break up with you just because you didn't know how to communicate with other people. So when social media platform came out, as Facebook, it was friends and family, happy-go-lucky pictures. It had nothing to do with entertaining someone. So showing a picture just to show you're being happy and gleeful, and versus garnering to them. And that's when I was like I'm working on an overall hemisphere of being on other platforms and not as popular. I got 90 views on one game, and it was because I announced new season discovery, and I stayed up early to next day to advertise the game. So I was being an advertiser, but I had enough funding to resolve as a creator. So I didn't have connections to even my funding, because I don't want people to feel bad for funding me, and then down the road they have another grief intention, like, well, because I sent you this money, you're my belongings. So I see people do that on the internet all the time. No matter what you teach people, they'll keep on going for that intention. There'll always be another person to replace that intent or resolve. Just like griefing, putting words in people's mouths, like telling someone what to be, because there's a difference between two differences. Now, they don't have to be the same person to like each other, the same eggshell, but there's other people that try to do that. And I used to hang out with people that are either friend zoning me or didn't want me in the same room at all. I'd have people that grief off of me being with a guy who's blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'd have people, because they were saying they had to be the same eggshell to be in the same room or something. That's how racist people were in my area or something. I know, because I have little squinty eyes. I skip out a lot of sleep. I exert a lot of energy. They automatically assume that's Asian or Mexican. They don't say that's like, well, it's a German from a maybe 0.0001 African or something, or indigenous, native, Aztecian, whatever. I don't know. There's all sorts of different bloodlines. There's like some people 7 different bloodlines, and they all have 0.5s in them, to all the way to Dutch or something. Dutch cultures are most commonly knowing how to get together and be from different lineages or cultures. But anyways, to go on from that, like telling people my happy day all the time instead of self-indulging it myself, learning to not be a slave of giving off my happiness to everyone else, like telling people what I do to resolve my happiness every day, versus like going around cleaning your vehicle, worrying about cleaning your own, folding your own clothes in the morning. I'm up early in the morning after waking up before my 3 hours, waking up before my alarm. I laid in bed for 2 hours, just listening to TV, not mostly looking at it. If I get the impulse, I'll turn something on, listen to something, and then slowly work my way from the other third hour to getting around for activity in the morning. So I woke up 3 hours before my alarm clock, and yeah, like I said, I'd notice family members would immediately break up with you if you were not perfect. So say I would say, hey, I used to have girls and guys touching me inappropriately, grabbing at me without even asking me. So that's what I grew up with. I used to play along with it because some of them were tomboys. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm grabbing at you. You're my boy." Nope, nope. Now we're friends. Now we're gonna go to the friend zone immediately, and I'm gonna run off. And then next thing you know, that person friend zone you is immediately with another guy. And I don't want to be a fighter over obviously a relationship that seems to be a lover trying to make someone fight. I don't know. Like, people think you only could be a lover or fighter. That's another example of being an eggshell in the same room. They don't believe in fighting for, or defending your own mindset. I also went to New York, and yeah, crime rates would go up after I left New York, and crime rates were in when I was around New York. So what it was is, I feel like politically they were talking about when they hired Biden as a president. It was going from Biden era, because obviously the Republican era isn't perfect. I didn't think Bush was perfect. I think Bush was another Biden minion, honestly. It doesn't matter if you're on Democratic side. There's always someone who's always going to be the puppet that gets tired and the pawn, and it doesn't seem like any of the people out there are going to be under control of themselves. So this is what I noticed, like with political opinions on the internet, like people telling you who to vote as a president's family members. And when you went to, they had problem with minimum wage, so they were announcing on the news, and the minimum wage is a problem. discouraging the people that are already, indigenous to the land, locals to land, discouraging them around the area because they weren't the facial appeal. I noticed that. So yeah, I noticed people had this boss mentality over you, and immediately when I left the area, and they'd argue with me and expect me to garner to them, they were immediately arrested for some criminal inclusion. So immediately it led to, like, you could turn on the news from where I worked. I won't say the location, but obviously you could see on the news every day. Criminal rates gone up, and I would walk away from the job, and now I'm done walking away from the job. So now everyone has a problem with my voice. Everyone has a problem with my tone of my voice. Everyone has a problem that I have. And everyone has a problem with voice. When I speak with indoor voice, say they turn on the music really loud indoors or something, and you get a louder voice in because someone's in that office blasting music or something. And like I said, there was issues where I left the area, and if like a bunch of free accidents occurred, like a moment I left that area, I walked away from fighting with people. I got defensive a little bit, overly defensive, and that's why I felt like I had to walk away. And the people were boss over the area, and then now they're like, oh, poor bosses that spit on the average employee, tell them they're just a bunch of penny pushers or something. You can't say things like these on the internet, but it seems to be okay for corporations to get hired at them now to tell you you're at gunpoint with somebody if you're different. But we already have someone with a trophy who's going to get a trophy for being clinically insane. So I feel like they're pushing me into that where I want to be garnered for having a trophy for being clinically insane instead of over exceeding at my life and not being renowned over, just exceeding at things constantly and it just being a normal habit. But today's society, everything like that's falling apart. I've been, like I said, like short sleep schedules is because when I was a middle brother, I'd work from age 16 up, and notice there's things like when I worked at age 16, I would work for an alcoholic who would alter my scheduling or something. And they say don't ruin a business name brand. Obviously, this business was closed a while back because they didn't want to hold on to it because the gas station broke down, and they didn't want to save up money for the gas station because they were always being vacated or partying or something. They were very minimalist. You could be a minimalist and be a drunk and have all the sins, and I see those people are being garnered all the time. Like they have lots of sinister behavior, and people garner to them. And because they need to be in a group or relationship or a buddy system, and those buddy systems go after you based on you not being you try being a sigma versus an alpha or a beta. Sigmas are always trying to find ways to not get along with anybody. When I grew up like that, like I said, my friend zone was people distancing me from me, and me feeling like premature worrying about those relationships. Everyone was like, you're too worried about relationships. Let's give you a chore to do. So anytime I'm worried about like hanging out with younger people or something, there is always an older person disciplining me. So it's funny how they have this age awareness thing, like, no age gapping, because I didn't care about it. Time being, I was like, okay, girls at the same age as me were always friend zoning me. So I had learned to not garner to everything that is on the internet. Like everyone probably sees me drinking alcohol, and I forget to put down a advanced setting warning. This video might have alcohol in it, but then they'll immediately shadow ban you. So they're worried about was it demonetizing you or shadow banning you, so they don't see your pop-up feed. Like I told people, unless it become really popular or over exceed a lot of the content I create and people are really into it, they'll see me on the top of the feed or not. I see they put a lot of people that are not popular at the top of the feed more often and websites, but just showing everyday happy life, how to do every little thing. I used to shovel snow in a rural area, a fifth 2/3 of a mile or something, 0.002 a mile, and not 20 or something, but like 0.2 of a mile, and maybe had one time where a guy offered to shovel out my yard with a truck, and I'm like, no, I already got half this done. I've gone to the stubborn mode of worried about people garnering to me or worried about my feelings. So I find sophisticated ways to like hook up weights to my weight system, or I might add in an exercise live stream, and I got these green screens, and I'll go and make sure these green screens will have effects in the background to make the exercise live streams entertaining enough. So I haven't got enough of that done yet. I'm barely budging past this little picture on drawing it, because I did practice putting pictures in a projector and coloring over and put a coloring effects over them, but it was very like dab, 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 go to work, dab, 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 go to work. Same with a video game, dab at a video game for 1 hour, go to work, dab at a video game for 1 hour, go to work. Start a live stream for 4 to 5 hours, jump from different games, 1 hour, being a multi entertainer where you're trying to entertain people. That's another thing, is ever since I became an entertainer, I'm not supposed to have opinion from people, garnering to people's opinions. They don't want me to have an opinion on the internet, so that's another thing I'm noticing. And I think that's about what I'm gonna say, because I watched someone's kid that was my neighbor side of the road, and I didn't use trauma towards him as an adult already. Obviously, YouTube algorithm doesn't want me to pick up on socialize with people this way, what I went through, until because I think that's shadow ban and demonetized content is when you bring up too much information about someone, even if you don't say what gender they are or what name they are, where do they live. They're automatically assume you're talking bad about someone, and they're focusing on demonetizing people more because they don't believe in freedom of speech. And what they'll do, they'll advertise this troublemaker who's like a really brat person who's going to go around destroying people's property or something to get views, or running someone over with a vehicle to get views. And they're not perfect because, they have that social bias towards who's garnering to them. They have a social bias on the internet. So I'm really trying to end this, but it's like you can keep on going on and on. There's a lot of social biases, like someone have more bone or a lengthier body than me. I've seen e-girls send me friend requests on my main account that's made for family and friends. I'm not going to garner to them because I don't think I'm being treated any more important than I am. I'm in the friend zone, paying them money to be in a friend zone just so they can say, oh, look at me, I'm pretty. Yeah, saying e-girls, so I obviously said gender, so obviously that's going to be demonetized possibly. Garnering to people constantly, they're like, oh, you feel, like I mentioned at one time, these two acrobatic Russian people had makeup all over the face. They had doll faces, Russian doll faces. And then when they went outside to smoke cigarettes, you could tell they wiped off the makeup. They were smoking, and their faces were more saggy than my face is now. Like get really bad, saggy looking angles, and people probably look at me from being like a goblin or troll looking kind of person from a distance. But nothing could compare to what I seen. And it looked like they had teeth pulling out everything, and they were smoking cigarettes and stuff, and they were very skilled at what they did. But obviously, they have a different identity from who they are, because they were like, oh, he won't like me for the looks in public. These girls are trying to get me to garner to them and grief off of me. There shouldn't be griefing culture around the world, but that's the reason why I don't have a platform on Facebook to get money off of people, because then I feel like that's me getting those kind of people onto my platform more, and that's why I've been really strict about starting a revenue on a platform, because it's a different kind of society now these days. I sound like I griefed a little off PewDiePie, and I said, curse me if I grieve off PewDiePie, but he deserves a beautiful life he's got. He doesn't deserve all these people griefing off of him, having their own ill logic of what's good and bad in society, because he said a word on the internet, and everyone wants to go after that and execute that identity he has. And maybe they have his videos demonetized now because those small percentage of people and his 100 million likes he gets every day or views is now going to demonetize him. So I think it's ridiculous that we have to garner till these fields, and these are people that are all upset with you. Like, I obviously used to get beat up, and I'd sign up for contact sports to be more defensive, so I knew how to be more agile and avoid a fist fight. I wasn't like Spider-Man where I was gonna start a street fight every time, or maybe the Indian Spider-Man would be like, "Hey, Peter Parker, slow down. Let's find out why this group, a mob of people, are angry at one person." And then Peter Parker would be like, "No, I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm gonna step in and jump on this guy and like ground pound all these guys because they're guys and they're not attractive at all, and they're garnering to the appeal of the villain. So they got to make sure one person's a villain." And so when Peter Parker goes down line, he starts getting involved with female villains more often. And it seems like the female villains are more OP than the male villains because he just seems to batter at the male villains, but then he ends up with another villain that's a female. So yeah, you can't say men and women are both equal to crimes because, and then they'll make the photography image guys surrounding women when there's a lot of times I've been surrounded by women who are touching me inappropriate or just being tomboy touchy, like, "Hey buddy, what's up? Let's go out, hang out around the park and walk or something." And then next thing you know, they got another boyfriend or something, and they just want to tell me their fetishes. So that's why I don't really hang out with anyone out of my free time, because I know I have to garner to them, and it doesn't help out my lifespan because I'm not really successful in everything. There's even guys who are more better looking than me I used to hang out with that are failing in life because they can't garner to people correctly in this world today. You get reported for every little thing, and with other people who get away with way too much. So you got someone messaging someone over the internet, and I'd be like, "Yeah, it's called parenting doesn't guideline children anymore these days." So now they have other people that are acting like their parents more than the parents next in the exact house with them. So now you have people act like parents on the internet, and that's what's happening today in society. We're not we're not making sure people are take care of their own children, and you know what? Some parents will drop off. Like I had 12, 11 year olds dropped off at my house, and I watched them at the age of 16 without using any sort of trauma whatsoever or any sort of I'm a superpower. There's only one time where I launched myself down a flight of stairs. It's in this house because a lot of this house was half built, and it was 500 pounds of sheet metal when I was barely over 100 pounds, and I launched it off the ground because this one younger guy that was taller than me was being crushed by it because I honed my strength. I honed my attributes of not garnering to anyone, not relying on all those negative personalities or even my own negative personality to dwell off. Everyone's probably thinking, I'm skipping out on sleep to make this video." Obviously, I've gone up early because I have more energy. I exercised yesterday, did something healthy. Everyone's saying healthy mindset from the pharmaceutical field, counter field, and not a healthy mindset from the doctor, the health nutritionists, and the athletic instructor or something around you, like having a family member that's an elderly that wake me up early in the morning to do yard work, and then me not eating until like 11 o'clock and waiting until it got hot to eat or something, because it get hot at 9 a.m. in the morning. You'd have to be up 6 a.m. sometimes. Be a farmer worker when I worked a job all day long, and then drive my brothers and sisters everywhere without having to hover over their girlfriends, because one time there was younger girls and I was with two older siblings, and the other girls were younger than me in their bikinis telling me, "Hey, get in the pool with me." There was multiple times where girls, because they have parents who do not care about them, the parents want them to move on and be young adults. I've even had parents try to give me off their kids multiple times. I had one time where a girl was in her underwear multiple times, and the parent was doing it. She had a blanket over it, and this parent was trying to get a drop off going. Like, "Here, have my daughter." Nope, I'm gonna go home now. This is really awkward because if that person has a health condition in a car, and I have to drop them off the hospital and tell them that yeah, the parent just handed off, the authorities are still going to arrest me because it wasn't approved by a law that could be handed off some 12 to 17-year-old daughter who wants to claim they're an adult because they got a kid from another guy the same age or something out of high school is not going to be adult at all. And I've been in that boat. That's why I'm tired of like the society of like Facebook even is you have to be perfect or display yourself as a perfect individual or you get no information shared to the community whatsoever. And it's causing society to fall apart more because, like I said, there's videos you can go, you can hire a job, and people hard to know want you to watch a video of how you're gonna handle a shootout being unarmed, and if you look overly defensive or offensive in this video, they might call the court authorities up behind your back and question you because you had a different reaction from someone else. Because you're not perfect, you're not the single eggshell in a room like the other eggshells.